Great. Ready to go.
All right. Hey, we're back. We're going to do this is usually our office hours time where people come in and ask any questions. But today we have a very, very, very special guest. Christian Jones is with us from Tax Pro Marketers. I've met and hung out with Christian a couple times at a couple different conferences, and I thought it would be cool to bring him on and have somebody else hear somebody else's different their voice and kind of understand kind of what his journey has been and kind of what he does in their agency, just to hear about other agencies, different things like that. And I'm sure other questions will come up. He is not prepared. I did not prepare him for any questions at all for this. That's why we love having him on, just because it's, hey, we're just going to talk for a little while. So that's kind of what we're doing. So overall, like I said, we're just going to kind of bounce around and talk about some different things. I think the first thing is kind of talk about who you are, your position in Tax Pro Marketer, and kind of start there.
Yeah. And hey, glad to be with you guys who are listening to this. Again, my name is Christian Jones. I'm the vice president at Tax Pro Marketer, which the name implies. We're a full service agency serving the tax and accounting space. I think this is our 15th year of being in business. We've got almost 20 employees. We've got somewhere north of 300 clients at a couple of levels of service. And I've been with this company for 7 years in total. And I started part-time. So I started out, it's a long time ago, but our CEO, Nate Hagerty, heard about me, took a flyer and threw me into what amounted to local SEO production. And we didn't have a super clarified strategy at that point. And so that was my first job, was to try and figure out how to organize what we were doing with SEO, what we could do. And then I got into our website department. I did that for a while. And then I got into sales, and I've been doing that for 5 years. And so now I have this vice president hat that kind of takes me in and out of websites, SEO, speaking on webinars, and then a lot of sales consultations. That's mostly what I do right now.
Cool. Well, hopefully those clients from 7 years ago aren't listening about the local SEO strategy you had back then. Otherwise, they're going to be like, what were we paying for? Right?
Yeah. No, that is fair. Hey, you guys are in good hands. But no, my gosh, it always is true, but there's just been a lot that's changed, obviously, in all areas of digital marketing in the last decade. But for us, local SEO and all the new stuff, it was really fun to kind of ride the wave of how GMB's changed and all the things that have rolled out. And so I've kind of had a front row seat to that. And learn through experience, just had a real get out there and get your hands dirty and figure it out. And now we're at a point where, for years, but certainly now, we've got a SEO website strategy that I'm really proud of, and shameless plug for you guys, but you're a big part of that. And there was a time where I had to wear some of the hats that you guys now wear for us. And thank God I don't have to anymore, because I'm a jack of all trades. I know enough to be dangerous. I've probably said that 1,000 times to you, Michael, but how many times do I just reach out and just say, please, dear God, someone tell me what to do here. It's really helpful to have you guys.
No, yeah. I mean, it's obviously about the SEO industry. It's constantly changing. And I don't know how many times I've read over the last 5 to 7 years, SEO is dead, right? That's the big thing to throw around now, is how SEO is dead and it doesn't exist. And you got to build an app, or you got to do this instead to produce results. But I think we all still know and bleed and love the local SEO space. I think that's a cool space to be in. I remember back in the day when you change a category, literally 5 minutes later you're ranking number one. How fun were those days, right? Personal injury, yes. It was that easy. It was so fun to crack that and kind of do that. So at Tax Pro Marketer, do you guys, so I know a little bit, but not a ton, but you have Nate and Troy, right? Yeah. Who are the owners but you guys practice EOS there?
Sorry, do we what?
Practice EOS?
No, we don't actually. No,
okay.
We do not use the EOS system. We've poked at it. I bet we're borrowing some concepts from EOS, but generally, the EOS concept was, I think, most fully introduced to us through Josh's group that we're both a part of. And I think maybe this isn't worth pursuing, but part of the friction for us is we've built a pretty, maybe it's fair to say like a flattened out kind of HR chart that's somewhat intentional. Like it's really easy to access and get answers and move things around.
So talk to us about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of that is just being a small company that especially Troy, like I think Troy, he's our COO, him and Nate kind of started the thing together. It was Nate's idea that Troy was within the first 6 months, like his first key employee, and now they're partners. And so a part of it has been our growth trajectory has been like Troy for a long time just wore like every hat, and Nate wore every hat. And so then they're hiring hats out, hiring this system out, hiring this thing out. And even for me, like when they threw me in to local SEO and websites, there was a lot of freedom to jump in and say, this is what we're doing. We're in business because this is working in part, but we're kind of deputizing you to go and figure out whatever you need to figure out. And so when I finally got into sales, everything I was doing in other production areas actually became 3 people's jobs, which was really nice to be like, wow, I've been doing a lot. But that's a part of like, I think the lack of corporate, not that it's bad, because I think EOS is actually really great, but like for us, like there's things just shift quickly, and we're growing to the place where like I actually think EOS would be useful for us to move towards, but we'd have to undo some things that we've got in place now that I don't think we're quite there yet.
Cool. So shifting gears a little bit, since a lot of agency owners are kind of watching this and they're talking about, hey, how do you generate leads? I know Tax Pro Marketer actually has a pretty good funnel and what they kind of do and how they kind of position it. So can you kind of talk through that about what you guys do and how you position it and how you're able to, do your thing to get leads, I guess?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is something Nate's talked a lot about. This is something I help with now in my current role. But for the tax and accounting space, let me give you some context, because some of this might be approachable for some other agency owners. Some of it might not. Just depends on the space they're in. But in the tax and accounting space, the clients we serve have to get what's called CPE credit on a yearly basis to maintain accreditations and licenses. CPAs or, certified tax preparers or EAs, et cetera. And so what we've done for a long time is we do these educational webinars in a few different forums where people are paying a subscription to get these CPE classes, and we're amongst many other vendors, and we get to present and educate. And so a lot of our sales process is actually around education. Like, to be frank, ads for us as an agency isn't a huge driver. It works okay. Where we really thrive is on these webinar settings, especially through COVID. That was really important. Like, that's already been probably our main channel, but live events was a big thing for us too before COVID. And in our space, everything shut down, probably like everyone else, right? And so quickly we pivoted to just flooding all of our forums that we participate in with webinars and kind of being a lighthouse in the midst of that storm and providing a lot of content and education. And that starts our sales process. So that's the beginning of kind of our discovery call, our consultative selling atmosphere. And so that's what I do. Like, I will present a webinar. We will get people to raise their hand and want to have the next step. But we really, I don't think many people do this. Some do, but like, we're not hard pitching. We're getting clearer and clearer the longer we're in business that like not everyone is right for us. Being in the tax and accounting space obviously is a starter, but there's so many people that actually are really good fits for us, and like waiting for those and serving those people always results in a higher, retention rate, more customer happiness, better results. And so we're always trying to refine through our kind of beginning sales process, really getting clear, like, are they in a space or serving certain clients that we could really lend a hand to? And so within Tax Pro Marketer, you've got tax preparers, bookkeepers, people that help with tax resolution, debt with the IRS, people that deal with advisory services. We don't have one niche. Like, the tax and accounting space, like many others, is pretty diverse in who we talk to. And so my job is to try and do a lot of digging, 30 to hour-long calls, just trying to get to know our clients. And starting from a place of education makes that really easy.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And actually, I think you hit a great point, because Brittany and I are actually kind of going through this right now of, quality of leads is better than quantity of leads, right? And I was under the impression for a long time that just let's get as many leads in, and I'll mow their lawn if they want me to mow their lawn. I'll do whatever to get paid, right? And we had a situation actually at Bionic that we had a client that was paying us a lot of money, but was not the right fit. Right. And that's what you talked about. And you talked about, all the external happiness things, right? Or I guess retention is internal, but also good for clients. But client happiness, I also think it's employee happiness as well, right? You really see nobody wants to deal with that guy, right? Or whatever that person is, that customer. And I mean, Brittany can talk to that as well, but we're kind of going through that at our agency at 51 Blocks now too, where, we're gonna cap the number of 0 to 2 clients that they have. If they have, over X number of revenue MMR per month, we'll work with them. If not, we're not the right fit right now because we're maxed out. Plus, we want people that understand the digital marketing space. And I'm sure you have your qualification set of things that you want with a bookkeeper, right? You probably don't want somebody who's just starting out. Maybe you do. I don't know whatever it is, but you have those qualification things. And I think it's hard as an agency owner because you just want leads, right? You just want leads to do it. But you can become, like you said, so clear about what you're going after that changes. And it like we're going through it right now, and I can't get any more bold, I don't think, but I'm getting more bold going through it, right? Of trying to just say, no, those people aren't the right people. We want this time, and you put that into the universe and that type of stuff, it'll come. It'll start to fill the pipeline.
Yeah, and I mean we've looked at the data in our space, and there's just tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tax and accounting professionals. And so if you get clear on how big your industry is, and then you do stuff like, okay, who is my real ideal client? Who am I serving right now that clicks? Who am I working with right now that I love working with, that loves working with me, and we're generating results?
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many, especially in our space, like there's so many different types of firms, individuals, startups, mature businesses, and the longer we go, I mean, it's just such a strain on our resources, our infrastructure, when you jam a square peg through a round hole. And they may even want it, right? Like we run into people, I've got examples in mind of people that are like, no, I'm going to pay you. You're going to be my marketing group. And it's like, okay, we'll take your money. We'll do it. But you always regret ignoring those red alerts that flash in your mind. And that comes with time, where you just start to realize these intangibles, these things about this business, I know it's not going to work. And being okay saying no has been like a big thing for me. Like I do probably 70%, maybe a little more than that, of all of our consultations. And over time, you just get a lot of at-bats to figure out, okay, from front end to then I'm on the website side, I'm a little bit on fulfillment. And I also, like when stuff hits the fan, or if we're doing performance reviews for our clients, what's working, what's not, I do a lot of that too. So I kind of see the full journey, and you just start to make connections. When someone brings these things to the plate for us, I have way higher an internal sense of like, this person's going to stick. And some of it is like intangibles about their business. This is not always the case, but I think this is safe to say as well. Like a lot of it is like the soft skills, like the personality, the disposition. When you work with people that are happy and emotionally stable, that's not the thing we're doing, right? We're doing marketing services, but wow, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. So like, I wouldn't say this, but like I'm saying it now on our webinar. I haven't said this openly before, but I think it's okay to say, like, generally any business would say working with people that are just more kind, understanding, and forgiving, and also like aware of what you're doing and thankful, like assuming you're doing your work. Golly, that makes a big difference. So that's actually like one of the main things. I will give discounts. I will do a lot to get someone in our system that I feel like our team will enjoy, that will stick with us for the long run. Because it's just, again, it's not a requirement at all. There are some requirements from like a firm, intangible, where they're at in their business cycle, what they're focused on, what they're not. That's like the real stuff. Like I'll work with anyone, but I am always looking for people that have some of those soft skill things in place too.
Yeah. What are some of your tips when you do your discovery? How do you identify those things?
That's a great question. And probably as
Notice he didn't say that to any of my questions, right?
Yeah.
He never said
Well,
that.
Christian and I are on the same page. We had a little briefing before you joined.
Got it.
But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we're in the same boat. So I see that too. Michael will say it. Like I'm always the first person to say no because I see where it goes before it gets there. And that's part of being in the roles that we held, which was to be in the weeds, right? Before we got into a higher space in the agency.
Right. Most of our sales process, and I think, again, like this isn't a, hey, do what we're doing because it works for us. But like, even like with EOS, like I don't have a script I follow. We don't have a system in sales. Like a lot of it is conversational. And we start that because of the way we first meet our leads is usually in an educational setting where I have a captive audience for an hour. And I get to inject some of my personality into that. I get to talk to them frankly. A lot of times they're there just because they need to check the box, answer some poll questions, and they don't care. But those that do engage further, well, I've had an hour to warm them up. I'm not anonymous to them. I'm actually a person, and that's helpful. Where now, like, they see me as an expert, and we've had this time to let me monologue. They can't answer. All I get to do is talk. So a lot of the times, like, my calls are longer from a consultation standpoint because I'm not just trying to figure out for this prospect, A plus B equals C, sign up here. Like, I'm trying to figure out some other things just by having an informal conversation, getting to know them. And for us, like, I always try and learn that thing behind the thing, like what's really animating you about growing your business. Because if you don't have that clear, you're going to eventually get to a point where you wonder why you're paying us. And you think like, okay, I'm done, I can move on. But when we get really clear, like, I'm doing this to retire or to start this other business or to, like, I'm moonlighting this thing and I'm in a corporate tax job and I want to get out of it. Like, getting to the thing behind the thing really animates what we will then do to help you get there. And so, like, that takes a lot of time to, like, get these people to offer that information, and they might not even know themselves. But that's a big thing for me that I don't think it is like one little key tip, but like, go deeper, like go below the surface, be more than just a list of offerings. Like, try and figure out what is the deep goal that is getting them up in the morning to go and do what they do. I don't always do this well, but when I find a way to get that conversation started and we get clear on that, one, it builds a lot of rapport, but two, it helps everyone involved know like what the actual goal is here and why we're doing this and how we can help. And you will find through those deeper, more personal conversations, if you're listening, like, you'll find lots of cues. And so there are times when we start talking about this and I hear like, hey, how my last marketing group went, and I kicked them to the curb and I'll never work with them again. And just how people talk about past vendors or past clients, or like, you can read between the lines that probably will be you sooner than later. If they're willing to do that on a call, or if they're just, kind and generally like enjoyable, I think, again, this is just like putting that on, that you're not so desperate for the sale that you're going to try and be in tune and read between the lines, is something, again, I've learned over time and made a lot of mistakes on, and then had to pay the price later with people that just, I saw the signs and I ignored them.
I think there's lots of good things in there, especially like those signs where people are like, yeah, I've gone through 6 agencies in the last year and a half, and you're like, how is that even possible? like that's hard to do, actually, right? We hear that through, sometimes the white label partners or whatever. Hey, you're my third person in 6 months, and I'm like, okay, we're probably, like you said, we actually position ourselves as we're probably not the right fit then, because you're going to need more time than what you've been investing, kind of thing. So,
right.
Pretty
time horizon is a really helpful thing. The other thing too is, as best I can tell, and this is not a rule because there's a lot of people in this boat, because the tax and accounting space is full of people that are very detailed. But when I run into someone that has a high demand of control and doesn't want to put that control in our bucket and let us just do things, that can be a really easy sign that maybe we're not going to do well for you. Like, you want us to do what we do, but you want to actually be project manager. That's never fun. That's never fun for our team downstream from sales. That's never fun for anyone when you have someone that says, I want to pay you to do marketing for me, then I want to tell you how to do the marketing.
Yeah.
That feels so good to hear. Like I was waiting for Brittany to have the biggest smile on her face, because that's what we run into a lot. Like we have consultants that come to us, right, that want us to kind of do that. It's the exact same thing, right? Where you're saying like, oh yeah, I want you to do the marketing, and now they're implementing their system, their process, all those things into us, and we're like, hold on, this is our expertise, right, Brittany? I mean,
the harder part is actually the people so we'll have the discovery. We know their pain point. They want to scale their agency. And they're like, I just want to focus on sales. And then they never focus on sales. I have so many times where I've looked at an email and I've been like, why are you in my inbox when you should probably be focused on sales? Like they insert themselves because it's habit. And Michael and I talked about this last week, but it's almost like a smaller agency owner has to learn how to break the habit of being in the weeds. Probably like, one of your clients needs to learn how to break the habit of trying to coordinate their marketing efforts when they hire someone to do it. And it's just, I think, a habit for a lot of people to want to have that control. But yeah, it is very refreshing to hear that. I was curious to know how you take that rapport that you've built and then pass that along to the team. Because I think a lot of people have sales
trust, right? You're talking about the
exactly.
trust, passing the trust, right?
Yeah, because that's kind of where Michael and I tend to sit too. Is we'll sit on a sales call, we get them all excited, they sign on, and then they're off to the team. So what is your strategy for kind of passing that along?
Yeah, this has been a big improvement for us in the last 2 years that we're in probably version 2 of now, and we're trying to roll out version 3. But as a model, we have a 30-day setup period. So for us, building WordPress sites, email structure, we can operate at scale because we are in a niche industry with some variety, of course, but we can get all this done in 30 days. And what we ran into for a while was exactly that. Okay, they love the sales consultation. They love the webinar. They're in, they sign up, and then they feel like, and this is actually, I think this might have been from the conference that you and I go to, Michael. It might have been from another source. But there's a perceived indifference once you get past the sales process. I think that was from 7FA and from Josh's group. But
exactly.
That really resonated with me as a retroactive. That's what we dealt with for a while was we're available. You can contact us any day, but people sign up and we're doing these done for you services where, hey, your emails are ready. Go log in and send them. Hey, this thing is ready. Go and do this. But we've had a number of people get through 4 or 5, 6 months, like most agencies, and they're quitting. And you're like, wait, what? I thought we were fine. And they're just you don't care about me. It's okay. So we don't have account managers, and that's not normal. I think, again, back to EOS or things that we do from a sales perspective that are working for us, we don't have an account manager that follows them. We have a client support team. And what we've done with our client support team is we're moving towards a hybrid of account management. We call them onboarding guides. So for our first 30 days, I pass the rock immediately to one of our onboarding guides who's a part of our client support team. And then we'll jump on multiple calls, be their go-to source, and kind of walk them through setup. Because the other side of it too is, especially from January to April, our people don't talk to us. So there's a decent part of the year where even if we had account managers willing to talk to our clients, they're just don't talk to me. I'm dead. I'm drowning in paperwork. I don't want to. So there's some things from a proactive beyond that first month, we're moving towards, but we're trying to also incorporate things like this at scale when we already have 300 clients. And so this was our, a couple of years ago, moving towards onboarding guides that really keeps the momentum going from a call that I'm on and they're in and they're excited. And that's where I leave them. I always leave a sale with the next step is an onboarding guide that's going to pick this up, run with my notes, and then take you through production, which is really helpful to bifurcate. And when I wore the website production hat more or SEO production hat more, it's harder to stay clear. It's harder to shift those gears. So just different parts of our team will pick up the rock and kind of run with it from there. Once I've done my bit, that's worked out really well. And we've just got some great client communication onboarding guides that are totally fluent in what we do, totally fluent in how to help people, but just putting them in this type of role and calling it this kind of pass off onboarding guide position has reduced a ton of retention for us, has kept people excited. And now our next phase is to try and figure out how do we incorporate another part of that ongoing account management role at scale. That's what we're working on now. Because we still have problems, but like this was a huge solution when we finally figured it out. And it seems obvious saying it, but it took us a while to get there.
Well, when you're managing that number of clients, it's tough to shift everything anyways, right? Like make a change. You still want to be a small business. You talk about big companies with BR. It's just hard when you're bigger to be like, change it like this. And then all of a sudden, all these things change. And I used to do that a ton when I was much smaller and we didn't have a ton of clients, right? I'd be like, oh, let's implement this. And now everybody got something new, right? But now when you have 300 clients, it's much more difficult.
Right.
Brittany, got anything else you want to drill Christian on here?
Yeah, of course. I would love to know how you guys show value for a client that's been with you, let's say beyond 6 months to a year, especially since you don't have account managers. A lot of the times for us in digital marketing, it's all about the monthly reporting call, right? That's how we show value or remind them. So how do you guys show value as you get towards, the end of the first year, so to speak?
Yeah. So we have, of course, what you'd expect in terms of dashboard reporting, ads, GMB or GBP, whatever. All of that's there for them to see. And of course, usually pretty dramatic changes of percentage increase of calls and actions, whatever, but it's passive. This isn't an active process for us. Part of our onboarding guide's job is to train, this is where you look, because these people want the data. As long as they know where to go, they'll go look. But one of the things that really helps our clients stick with us is a little bit softer, or squishier. It's actually what we do through email. So as an agency, probably the most distinct thing about us is what our CEO, Nate, kind of pioneered from the jump 14 years ago was we're going to do weekly conversational relational email marketing, and we're going to do that for all time. And we've kept doing it. And so we write fresh content on a weekly basis that our clients get to engage with in a proprietary dashboard that we've built. They can make edits and changes and they send it. But for us, this is the linchpin of we generate leads, we get forms filled, we get new people in the system, but we also provide a non-newsletter type of email content that really does, again, keep our people fresh, keep them in front of these leads in ways that over time, the feedback we get is, I kind of scoffed at email marketing. I thought it was a joke. But I've talked to one guy in New York City who kind of had that disposition, who just recently was on a call with me and said, multiple clients I've talked to have talked about printing off your emails and putting them in their employee lounges where they work because they were so helpful, because we're not just selling for our clients on our clients' behalf through email. We're trying to first person relational value, and that's a lot of work. And so that's the thing that keeps our people sticking. Now we can do a better job of continually reminding them hey, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, but it's harder to quantify. I'm not in our clients' email inboxes. But that service for us is what keeps them. Google and ads and numbers, that's all fun. And that's really important. But we care a lot about that downstream, lowering their attrition rates and really building trust. That's the thing that we bring to the table for our people that's hard to find elsewhere.
Any chance you would share an example of that?
An email?
Yeah, an example that you guys have sent out and that we could post with this video so people can see. I wrote it down to touch base with you later, and I was just like, well, if I'm asking for it, I'm sure other agency owners would want to see it. I think it's huge. I think I'm like you. I didn't think email marketing worked, and then Brittany started running these. It's not even the right way. I think Ryan Dice talks about. Hey, you send a nice one, sales. Nice one, sales, right?
Yeah.
We just sent a sales one and people signed up. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Because we have 2,500 or 3,000 or 5,000 people on our email list. And it's but you're right. I really like the idea because I'm all about the personal, not the touch. I'll say, I don't want to say it like that because that's so cliche, but more just, hey, we're human too, right? This is what we do, or these types of things. And I'm sure that's why I kind of want to see what you guys are saying in those so that we can, I think it's a great idea. So.
It's a non-guru way of doing emails. I think that's maybe.
Well, if Nate's doing it, that's definitely the case, right?
Nate is the anti-guru. So our CEO, Nate, is that's his strongest set of skills from a production standpoint is content writing, but like he has a pulse on our industry. And so now like, hey, how do we get leads? Like people have been getting Nate's emails for years.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm ready to talk. But that comes from ignore the shiny objects, ignore the changes. And, you know, obviously there's some changes that do happen you have to roll with, but like, you know, there's a lot of things we haven't done in favor of dedicating resources, time, and energy towards really regularly just doing email at a high level that we're getting dividends on now, for sure. I'd be glad to send you a couple of emails.
Cool. That'd be awesome. We'd love that. So we hit the 30-minute mark. I know you were stressed that we wouldn't make it.
Super stressed.
But
I don't have a reputation for rambling at all.
No. We all do, right? I knew it wouldn't be a problem when you and I sometimes may sneak out of the conference and sit and talk for like 45 minutes. We're like, oh, shoot, we should probably go back in, right?
Yes, exactly.
Just talking business with you. I always appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on. You know, I don't, if you have any last party comments or anything to any agency owners out there, you're more than welcome. You have the open floor. If not, we'll wrap it up.
Hey, use Bionic. I'll say that to end. Like Bionic, again, like we're coming from SiteGround, and before that we were on another platform. And yesterday I had 2 fires, and it is such a comfort at the end of the business day. And I find out that 2 of our clients' websites went down or their email stopped working, not entirely on us, but like to have you guys, like I'm kind of desperate to get home to my wife and my kids. And in past years, it would have been like Christian, stay at the office and just grind until it's done because there's no one else. But to like be able to hit you guys up and both of those sites and email situations are resolved is like, that's anecdotal. But like generally, you guys have just been so freaking easy and great to work with. And we're so thankful. And both of you do a great job. So my parting thought is work with Bionic. That's your hack.
Well, I'll take that. We'll lead with that. We'll flip the script. We'll put that in the front.
There you go.
But seriously, Christian, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it so much for coming on, hanging out with us. Hopefully we can have Nate on and maybe you again, in a 6 to a year and kind of see how things are going and keep the rotation going, man. Love hanging out with you. So appreciate it. And go Broncos. All right.
Hey,
so much. See you later.
See you guys.